as panchayat elections. But the battle lines have been drawn with the opposition opposing the entire pitch coming in from the Modi government, saying that this is an attack on federalism. But top government sources have told CNN News 18 that the Modi government is unlikely to introduce this bill in the winter session of Parliament. The Modi government is focused on creating consensus, not just among the common man, but even the political class.
High-level committee recommendations on one nation, one election, on simultaneous elections. Those recommendations have been accepted today by the Union Cabinet. One election to Lok Sabha and all legislative assemblies in 5 years होना चाहिए, जिससे कि देश में डेवलपमेंट चलता रहे. जो बहुत सारा खर्चा होता है इलेक्शंस के कारण वो न हो. बहुत सारा लॉ एंड ऑर्डर और क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम जो बाधित हो जाता है, बिकॉज पुलिसमैन आर टोटली डिप्लॉयड इन मेंटेनिंग द इलेक्शन लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, वो सब जो बड़ा एक मिशन, बहुत बड़ा एक डिसरप्शन रहता है, वो ना हो.
उसको नहीं मानते, ये नहीं चलने वाला है डेमोक्रेसी में. ये डेमोक्रेसी को टिकाना है तो जब जब चाहिए तब इलेक्शन करना पड़ेगा.
कैबिनेट की मंजूरी एक स्वागत योग्य निर्णय है. बार बार जो थोपे जा रहे थे चुनाव, उससे देश को निजात मिल पाएगा और राजकीय कोष पर जो ये भार था वो काफी हद तक कम हो सकेगा. योजनाओं की निरंतरता बनी रहेगी, नीतियां बदस्तूर जारी रहेंगी, पारदर्शिता बढ़ेगी और लोग मतदान केंद्रों में बड़ी संख्या में आ सकेंगे. इसलिए ये एक ऐसा फैसला है जिसके दूरगामी नतीजे होंगे और देश को इसका व्यापक लाभ आने वाले वर्षों में मिल सके.
And I'm joined by my colleague Payal Mehta on the broadcast. So Payal, you brought to us information from top government sources which have said that the Modi government is keen on developing consensus when it comes to one nation, one election, not just among the common man, but even other political parties. What shape could that take in the weeks to come?
Well, of course, wider consultations will happen across the entire country. Discussions will be held at various platforms. That is something which Mr. Ashwini Vaishnaw, the Union Minister, already said in the press conference that he was holding on the cabinet briefings. Also, if you remember, Ayushman on the 15th of August, during his speech at the Red Fort, the Prime Minister also had once again appealed to the political parties that they should actively consider this, given the fact that any policies or any decision which is taken in the interest of the common man are often viewed as, election connected, because, obviously various opposition parties attack the other side, saying that, they've been using this for political gains as well. So that argument will then end. So obviously it's not something which the government has come up with overnight. There's been a wider consultation. The report of former President Ramnath Kovind today was adopted by the Union Cabinet. Of course, now more consultations will take place before the bill actually takes shape. So obviously, many opposition parties have been attacking the government, essentially saying that because they have 240 numbers in the Lok Sabha and they had an underwhelming, result in the Lok Sabha, probably this is an outcome of that. But this was thought about much earlier before the election as well. That was something Mr. Ashwini Vaishnaw also clarified, that this decision to bring in one country, one election was taken before the election results really came out as well. So the intent has been extremely clear. The consultation process will continue. The government has full 5 years to govern. They are not under any pressure to actually bring in such a reform to prove a political point. So obviously they are not in a hurry whatsoever to bring it immediately in the next parliament session, is what the government has also said. After the consultation process takes shape, Ayushman, that's when the bill will be drafted, taking into consideration what suggestions are also coming up further. So that's where the intent really is. And as far as numbers are concerned in the parliament, the government is extremely confident. They have overwhelming numbers, in comparison to the opposition. Even the NDA has very good numbers in the Lok Sabha and as well as in the Rajya Sabha. Because, in the Rajya Sabha, they'll have to come up with 2/3 majority because they're looking at bringing in constitutional amendments.
Right, so in the numbers game, the government is very confident. Payal, please stay with us. We're getting some more breaking news where BSP chief Mayawati has now reacted to this push coming in from the Modi government, which has accepted the Kovind panel report. Now, Mayawati has said, and I quote, Our party stand on the approval given today by the Union Cabinet to the proposal to hold simultaneous elections of the Lok Sabha, Assembly and local bodies in the country under the system of one country, one election is positive, but its objective must be in the national and the public interest. Payal continues to be with us on the broadcast. Payal, how do you see this reaction coming in from Mayawati? Do you see some level of support coming in from the other side of the aisle?
Well, it looks like she's had a measured response as far as this is concerned. On one front, she's speaking about the benefits of having simultaneous election. At the same time, she's hoping that, the ruling side doesn't use this for their own advantage. Like the Congress party has been saying that they probably are, underwhelmed with the kind of numbers that they saw in the Lok Sabha, and possibly looking at 2029, there's a lot of discussion on who will become the next, number one as far as the BJP or the NDA government is really concerned. To answer that debate, probably they're bringing in such a reform as well. So that's something which, of course, she's been saying. She'll obviously come under the attack from various opposition parties, given the fact that multiple occasions in the recent past, her responses have been showing that she's warming towards the NDA or warming towards the BJP in particular as well. So the UP politicians have seen this through that prism. We'll have to just wait and see what the response from the other side or the opposition really is. But, Mayawati for now, in principle, welcoming this. And like I said, that, JDU, one of the key allies of the BJP in the NDA government, at that point in time when they appeared before the panel, possibly they were not with the NDA, but they also made a suggestion saying that Lok Sabha and Assembly elections can happen together. And after some point, you should actually hold the Panchayat election. You can't hold all of them together. So that was one of the suggestions that they gave. But the government has now announced that, these elections will take place in two phases. One will be for the Lok Sabha and Assembly, and then the second phase will also be on the local body elections and the other elections concerned as well. So support coming in, and not very surprisingly from anybody who understands the political system, the way it works, from Mayawati, in a way principally supporting this move.
Right, so it seems the political lines are in a constant state of flux. I'm also joined by my colleague Ananya Bhatnagar on the broadcast. So Ananya, the pitch coming in from top government sources is that there will be a long consultative process with the political class as well as the Aam Aadmi as well as a lot of legal luminaries. Where do you see the legal dynamics extending in the weeks to come?
Well, definitely, the legal dynamics have been there since the very beginning of this particular issue. If you remember, when the matter was referred to the Law Commission of India, the Law Commission had actually invited public opinion on this. Then, in fact, the Law Commission held its consultations with various stakeholders, including the former Chief Justice's former senior lawyers, and in fact legal luminaries in this particular matter. And very clearly and categorically at this particular juncture, in fact, when the high-level committee headed by former President Ramnath Kovind also heard this particular issue, when it was seized off this particular issue, it held consultations with former Chief Justices, top lawyers in the country, constitutional experts, and most importantly, political parties itself. Over 62 political parties were extended to actually, ask to submit their suggestions. However, 47 of them responded to it, 32 were in favor of it, while 15 had actually opposed a one nation, one election kind of a thing there. But at this particular point of time, if you see the report, the 282-page operative report of, in fact, the Ramnath Kovind panel, which not only gives recommendations and suggests why this particular one nation, one poll is actually something that is very, very good for the country, but also suggests various constitutional amendments that would be really, really necessary in order to bring in such a move, because there would be certain changes, certain tweaks that would be needed in the Constitution of India, so that the aspects like, if at all a hung assembly happens in a state assembly, if at all a state government dissolves before, in fact, the completion of that 5-level term or the full term, that would be made a part of the Constitution of India. That is something that is necessary at that particular point of time. So consultations have been going on. If the government proposes more and more consultations, that is something that could raise a lot of public confidence into it. And remember that even if a lot of litigations come in, even if there is an influx of a bunch of litigations with regards to one nation, one poll, one clear factor would definitely go in favor of this government. Apart from how would they defend it, how would they be defending these constitutional amendments, is that they've held a lot of constitutional and a lot of consultations, and that can swing in fact the legal battle also in their favor.
Right, Ananya and Payal, please stay with us. We'll continue to track all the legal and the political developments coming in when it comes to this entire push of one nation, one election coming in from the Modi government. Let's listen into more reactions coming in.
वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, नरेंद्र मोदी जी शुरू से ही इसके पक्ष थे। देश के सभी पूर्व चीफ जस्टिसों से चर्चा की गई, देश के मूर्धन्य नेताओं से, राजनीतिक दलों से चर्चा की गई, अंततः कैबिनेट से मंजूरी हो गई। खड़गे की भाषा केवल विध्वंसक भाषा होती है, निगेटिव होती है। ये खड़गे वही हैं जो देश को कहा था कि अगर 20 सीट और आ जाती तो मोदी सहित सबको जेल भेज देता। ये देश के विकास के लिए जरूरी है वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, देश के लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के लिए जरूरी है।
वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन को कैबिनेट की मंजूरी मिल गई है। आप मानते हैं कि देश में इस तरीके का जो इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाने वाला है वो ठीक रहेगा?
नहीं, देश में तो बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं जो ठीक नहीं हो रही हैं। ये मौका नहीं है ये कहने का, पहले तो मैं सौदा देखूंगा। सैद्धांतिक रूप से हम इसके विरोधी हैं, और मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूं, ऐसे बता रहे हैं वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन जैसे आविष्कार कर रहे हैं, अपनी प्रयोगशाला में बनाया है, यूरेका मोमेंट है। नहीं साहब, इस देश में वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन ही था 1962 तक। उसके बाद क्या हुआ? रीजनल पार्टीज का उभार हुआ। रीजनल पार्टीज ने उस समय की जो प्रभुत्व वाली कांग्रेस थी उसके डोमिनेंस को चैलेंज किया। अलग अलग राज्यों में फिर चुनाव बीच बीच में होने लगे, मध्यावधि चुनाव आ गए, स्टेबल गवर्नमेंट नहीं रही, फिर जाकर के एक स्टेबिलिटी आई है हमारी डेमोक्रेटिक पॉलिटिकल कल्चर में, और वो विविधता पे आधारित है। उसमें ये नहीं है कि एक साथ चुनाव नहीं हुए ना तो राष्ट्र कमजोर हो गया। नहीं, अभी देश की प्राथमिकता यही थी क्या? मतलब प्रधानमंत्री जी संकेत जमीन से सुन रहे हैं, युवा रोजगार मांग रहा है, वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन से रोजगार करोड़ों आ जाएंगे।
ऐसा है कि यूनियन कैबिनेट ऐसे बहुत से प्रपोजल्स पास करती है जिस पर उनको यू टर्न लेना पड़ता है। वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन कुछ नहीं, एक शगुफा है असल मुद्दों से भटकाने का। आप बेरोजगारी की बात मत करिए, आप जो उनकी नफरत और हिंसा की बातें हमारे नेता प्रतिपक्ष के खिलाफ कह रहे हैं उन पर बातें मत करिए। इसलिए वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन का ढोल बजाया जा रहा है। आप कैसे करिएगा वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन? क्या आप राज्य सरकारों को गिरा दीजिएगा? क्या आप असेंबलीज भंग कर दीजिएगा? किस तरह से कीजिएगा आप वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन? ये सारे शगुफे हैं आपका ध्यान भटकाने के लिए। आपका ध्यान भटक सकता है, हमारा नहीं भटकेगा।
Right, so the pitch opposition camp is that one nation, one election is against the constitution. It's an attack on the entire federal structure. Ananya continues to be with us on the broadcast. So Ananya, when it comes to federalism and how it's enshrined in the constitution, the opposition is of the opinion that this pitch from the Modi government to hold simultaneous elections will fail the legal test. What are you learning from the legal luminaries? Is there a divide among legal experts as well when it comes to the legal viability of one nation, one election?
Well, for answering this question, Ayushman, I would like to take you back to at least January and December of 2023, when in fact the Common panel had actually in fact invited suggestions. Not only the political parties but various legal luminaries had in fact submitted their views, whether it's a hit at the federalism, whether it's not a hit at the federalism. Though definitely that it would be raising a lot of legal challenges. There would be a lot of constitutional amendments that would be brought in, but all of them would be there would be a lot of litigation influx, as I was pointing out earlier to you as well, that whenever this bill comes up there would be a lot of influx of in fact a litigation. But one thing that works in the favor of this government is that they've held large amount of consultative processes. They have spoken to political parties, they have spoken to top legal luminaries, former chief justices, judges, in fact from lawyers and various other stakeholders from the field of law, from the field of politics have been consulted with, and only after that this government would be bringing in any kind and in fact two major reports, one from the Law Commission of India after its extensive study, and then by the high level committee headed by the former President of India, Mr. Ramnath Kovind, had heard this matter, in fact had researched on this matter. This committee comprised of various important people like the Home Minister himself, and also Finance Secretary, who would have former finance people from the finance department as well. So very clearly at this particular point of time, the one thing that works in favor of in fact one nation one poll for this government is that they've held large consultative processes, and as Pai has broken out, that the government is also willing to hold more consultative process in the coming days is something that could work in their favor, because they would have a lot of research on it, and hence the government lawyers, when they come up to actually bear this challenge to this particular law, to bear the question as to whether it hits the federalism, it hits the democracy of the country or not, that would give them a big edge, because they would have these consultations, they would have these opinions coming in from these top legal luminaries, from the former chief justices. So how all of it would turn out is something that only time can tell us, but definitely this is something that we can actually assume from the kind of consultation processes that the government has actually carried out. And not only the government, but also these two commissions. One is the commission, or the Law Commission of India, the 22nd Law Commission of India, headed by Justice Rituraj Avasthi, and also the high level committee headed by the former President of India, Mr. Ramnath Kovind.
Right, so that is the legal side of it. Payal also is joining us on the broadcast. So Payal, when it comes to the entire pitch that top government sources have brought to us, that there will be a wider consultation, the opposition has already drawn those battle lines, saying that this is an attack on federalism. We're getting a reaction from several opposition parties who have attacked the Modi government over one nation, one election. Now, at the same time, while the rumblings continue in the political arena, what is the BJP's point of attack to take on the opposition?
They're basically taking on the opposition and saying that, they've been power hungry. They only bother about, certain political gains that they really have. And they're not looking to take the country forward, because the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been speaking about a Viksit Bharat, or a developed India, has been speaking about the focus on, bringing development, bringing the ease of living and the ease of working to the most backward areas. That's been the focus as far as the Viksit Bharat journey is really concerned. And as a nation, we recently saw the 3 criminal bills being passed as well. So obviously doing away with the age-old laws is something also which the government has been speaking about. Reforms is the way forward. In his 15th August speech, the Prime Minister not only spoke about the one country, one election pitch, but he also made a request to the opposition parties and all people to look at bringing in reforms in various sections, to make sure that, people's lives become better, people's life becomes easier, and they actually can, focus on development, focus on, policy making and policy implementation as well. So that's the line that the BJP has been saying, that this has been coming in as well. So the BJP government over here, in fact, Ashwini Vaishnav was also asked this question. He said, hopefully within the next few months, when the consultations happen, several people will have a change of heart, and hopefully some people within the opposition ranks will come out and speak logically as far as this is concerned, because this is not for a political party, but this is for the country, this is for the country on the whole as well. Not that the government is not aware that, there will be legal challenges to this, like Ananya was reporting, that, probably many people would want to run to the courts to in fact get some relief. But we've seen that, the business of making laws is that of the executive, and that's something which they do, and that's the reason we say in India that the parliament is supreme. The parliament is the supreme authority when it comes to making laws as well. Of course, legal challenges can be looked into, legal nuances can be challenged at multiple levels. That's something which the government is hoping won't arise, because that's the reason they're having these consultations. That they want to get a consensus not only from public on the general, who in fact have given multiple suggestions in the past also, especially the youth who have been very, very keen on having one government, one election, and one country, one election, given the fact that so that development can take center stage. But the government is also hoping for consultation among the political circle as well. So obviously you will see various reach outs being made at multiple levels in the government with political parties, political opponents in particular, to take them on board and say that this is not a matter which concerns an individual or a set of individuals or a government or a party itself. This is largely in the interest of the country, so that governments can focus on working for the cause of the people and not be worried about implementation of election related material, whether it's imposing of the model code of conduct, deploying for forces during these elections, and at the same time also curbing on black money will also be one of the most important achievements of this particular move, is what the government really feels.
Right, and it seems that some feelers of support are coming in from the opposition camp. We saw that reaction coming in from BSP chief Mayawati, who has said that she supports the entire push of simultaneous elections in principle, but it has to be in the interest of the nation. Ananya and Payal, please stay with us. Let's listen in to more reactions coming in.
Saqib, today Centre has cleared one nation, one election. How does the PDP see it?
Look, the beauty of this Indian democracy was it is federal structure. And these one nation, one election, one nation, one flag, one nation, one number. So these are all an assault on the federal structure of the Constitution of India. The beauty lies in diversity of India. You have different states with their own flavor, with their own color, with their own vibrancy. The present dispensation is trying to create a unitary system, and the larger idea is to create a presidential form of government where a single monarchy or a single president rules over the entirety of the country, and have small municipalities, small states, the power reduced as was done to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. You had a historically powerful state of Jammu and Kashmir reduced to a union territory, which indirectly reflects that's what the future beholds for the rest of the states of the country.
ऐसा है कि वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन भारतीय जनता पार्टी और उसका पूरा विचार लोकतांत्रिक इरादों को कभी एक्सेप्ट करता ही नहीं। क्या कारण है कि उनकी मातृ संस्था में कभी इलेक्शन नहीं होते। फिर भी चूँकि कांग्रेस की एक अपनी लाइन आएगी, नेशनल हमारा जो विचार है कांग्रेस पार्टी देगी वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन पर देश में किसी भी सुधार के लिए कभी भी कोई देशभक्त नागरिक मना नहीं करता है। जहाँ तक वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन पे हमारा नेशनल का जो वक्तव्य आएगा वही मेरा।
And more reactions pouring in from the opposition camp. We're getting a reaction from the Uddhav Sena as well. Aditya Thackeray has reacted to one nation, one election and the entire push coming in from the Modi government. He has said, and I quote, "This is a joke in itself because the election commission, which cannot hold simultaneous elections in 4 states, is talking about one nation, one election. We have 30 municipal elections pending in Maharashtra. Why can't they take that now?" Is the pitch coming in from the Uddhav Sena, saying that with all the municipal elections that are pending in Maharashtra, it is irrelevant to talk about a plan to hold simultaneous elections. The entire push of one nation, one poll coming in from the Modi government. Aditya Thackeray also saying that this entire pitch coming in from the Modi government is a joke because the current assembly elections are not being held simultaneously. I'm joined by my colleague Yasha Kotak on the broadcast, who's getting us this piece of breaking news. So Yasha, the Uddhav Sena making it very clear that this entire push coming in from the Modi government is impractical on the ground. There are several pending elections which still required to be acted on by the election authorities.
Absolutely. In fact, when you speak of the state of Maharashtra right now, this stance which has been put forth by Shiv Sena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray faction puts forth the question about how the state of Maharashtra is pending for election. There were elections announced in Jammu and Kashmir, which was where the state of Maharashtra was also expecting that the election would be held, the Vidhan Sabha election would be held. But at that time, Maharashtra elections were not held. They have been still pushed for the next couple of months. In fact, in the earlier statement made by Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, he's mentioned that the elections in the state of Maharashtra would be held only in the second week of November. In fact, when you speak of the municipal corporation elections, the elections to be held in various cities of Maharashtra, there are 30 plus such cities, such municipal corporations, which are pending elections for the last 1.5 to 2 years now. All of these are questions that have been put forth by Aditya Thackeray, who is the son of former Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, and which is where the stance have been made very clear that by the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray faction that this very decision taken by the cabinet over one nation, one election is something that's impractical. And though they've not really commented on what their stance would be, but they've further gone ahead and questioned this very decision taken by the cabinet. Yes.
Right. Thank you, Yasha, for getting us that piece of breaking news. Ananya continues to be with us on the broadcast. So, Ananya, despite the pitch coming in from the Modi government that there will be continuous consultations for the implementation of one nation, one election, the pitch coming in from the opposition is that they need to see some practical implementation of one nation, one election, highlighting the fact that there are so many pending local elections at the same time. They want some at least assembly elections to be held simultaneously to show the entire country that one nation, one election is possible. This is coming in as a political attack from the opposition camp, but this will also play into the arguments in the legal circles as well when it comes to the viability of one nation, one election.
Well, definitely, if you see the recommendations have been given by, in fact, the high-level committee headed by, in fact, the former President of India, Mr. Ramnath Kovind, you can see that, this particular issue, the logistical issue, has already been dealt with. It has been made clear that, whenever election, one nation, one election has to be held, first, the Election Commission of India would be holding meetings with, in fact, in fact, the state election commission, and a big advantage as suggested by, in fact, the Ramnath Kovind committee had been that, when there would be a single electoral roll, when there would be a single voter list, then the whole data with the election commission of India would be in fact a single database that would not only enable, in fact, the election commission of India to work swiftly, but would also help in reducing the duplication that happens at times when there is a voter registration that happens, and that is something that could be used by, in fact, the government to actually defend this particular aspect as to the Election Commission of India cannot hold simultaneous elections in various states. So definitely there are changes that would be necessary. It's not a single day move that can actually bring in. There will first have to be a bill on one nation, one election. There would be several constitutional amendments that needs to be made, and not only several constitutional amendments, but also the changes in the way in which the elections happen. That would also definitely substantially change at one point or the other, and that is something that has been suggested by, in fact, the high-level committee headed by former President Ramnath Kovind, and also by the Law Commission of India in their separate reports.
Right, Ananya, please stay with us. Now the political reactions are coming in thick and fast. Let's listen in to more reactions coming in from the opposition and the BJP camps.
जो भाजपा चुनाव से डरती है, जो भाजपा महाराष्ट्र में चुनाव हरियाणा और जम्मू कश्मीर के साथ नहीं ले सकती, जो भाजपा हमारे महाराष्ट्र में लगभग 30 शहरों में चुनाव नहीं ले सकती, वो ही अभी वन नेशन वन पोल के बारे में बात कर रही है, तो जोक हो गया है।
आपकी पार्टी का स्टैंड क्या रहेगा?
हमारी पार्टी का स्टैंड हमारा क्लियर है कि इन्होंने बात किससे की है पहले पूछे, फिर वन नेशन वन पोल जो चुनाव आयोग भाजपा के ऑफिस से जो चलता है, भाजपा के दफ्तर से जो चलता है, उन्हें 4 राज्यों में चुनाव लेने की अनुमति नहीं है भाजपा से, तो वो क्या वन नेशन वन पोल करेगी? भाजपा तो डरती है पोल्स को।
ऐसा बड़ा फैसला उनके नेतृत्व में ही हो सकता था, और सभी राजनीतिक दलों से अपील करता हूं, इसमें राजनीति ना करें, राष्ट्रहित को राजनीति से ऊपर रखे और सब मिलकर इस फैसले का समर्थन करें। मैं जनता से भी अपील करता हूं, आज भावुक होकर अपील कर रहा हूं, सारा देश इस निर्णय के पीछे खड़ा हो जाए, जन अभियान चले इसके लिए, और मिलकर सब रोज होने वाले, हर 6 महीने में होने वाले चुनाव से देश को मुक्ति दिलाएं।
लेकिन सर, आपने देखा हो कांग्रेस पार्टी इसका विरोध कर रही है, सीपीआई ने भी इसका विरोध किया।
Under the present constitution, considering the diversities of our country, considering the character of being permanent constitutional body, that is election commission, India is having multiple frequent elections, will have multiple frequent elections. So the one nation, one election is not possible and practical. Our stand remains the same. Now if cabinet has cleared, what are the modalities cabinet has proposed or is considering? We do not know the details.
मैं खुद गया था, जिसमें हमने इस वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की मुखालिफत की, और हमारा मानना यह है कि दिस इज अ सोल्यूशन इन सर्च ऑफ अ प्रॉब्लम। इसको अगर डिस्क्राइब करना है, दिस इज अ सोल्यूशन इन सर्च ऑफ अ प्रॉब्लम। अब ये नहीं बताया जा रहा है कि ये करने की क्यों जरूरत पड़ रही है आपको। सरकार ये बोलती है कि आपके पॉलिसी पैरालिसिस होता है, कॉस्ट एक्सचेकर को खर्चा होता है। पहले तो यह है कि मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट किसी पॉलिसी मेकिंग को जो डेवलपमेंटल है और रूटीन इन नेचर है, उसको रोकता नहीं है, नंबर 1। दूसरी बात यह है कि इलेक्टोरल डेमोक्रेसी एक पिलर है हमारे भारत के पूरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का। अब ये वीक कंसिडरेशंस पर अगर सरकार, मोदी सरकार ये कह रही है कि हमको पूरे इलेक्शन एक साथ करा देंगे हम, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कन्वीनियंस, इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी, तो अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रिक्वायरमेंट्स अगर फाइनेंशियल और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कंसिडरेशंस पे होगा तो ये तो अलग कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस होंगे, इसके एब्सर्ड कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस होंगे। तो फिर अगर आप ये बोलेंगे भाई सिविल सर्विस काम नहीं कर रहा है, पुलिस काम नहीं कर रही है, निकाल दो। जुडिशरी में बहुत से केसेस पेंडिंग है, जुडिशरी को बंद कर दो। तो ये ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है। इसीलिए ये जो वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की बात नरेंद्र मोदी 2019 से कर रहे हैं, 2019 में जब उनको दोबारा कामयाबी मिली तो उस वक्त ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग हुई थी पार्लियामेंट की, लोकसभा की लाइब्रेरी में। उसमें तमाम पार्लियामेंट में जितने एमपीज थे, लोकसभा राज्यसभा के, उनके पार्टी के लीडर्स को बुलाया गया। उस मीटिंग में मुझे अच्छी तरह याद है कि मेरी पार्टी और लेट हमारे जो सीपीएम के लीडर सीताराम येचुरी, हमने इसकी मुखालिफत की थी। तो नरेंद्र मोदी का पूरा गेम प्लान यही है कि नेशनल पार्टीज रहें और दूसरे तमाम रीजनल पार्टीज, छोटे पार्टीज हमेशा के लिए खत्म हो जाएं। आप देखिए कि अगर नेशनल इलेक्शन होगा तो मुद्दा नेशनल होगा, रीजनल इलेक्शन होगा असेंबली का, विधानसभा का, तो रीजनल मुद्दा होगा।
And we're also getting a reaction from Home Minister Amit Shah, who has reacted to the big push coming in on One Nation, One Election, with the central government accepting the entire COVID panel report. Ladies and gentlemen, Amit Shah has made it very clear that this entire election push is essential for the economic viability of the entire election process. He has said, and I quote, "Under the leadership of Shri Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Bharat has been witnessing transformative reforms. Today, in this direction, Bharat takes a giant stride towards landmark electoral reforms, with the Union Cabinet accepting the recommendations of the high-level committee on One Nation, One Election. This reflects Modi ji's iron will to bolster our democracy through clean and financially efficient elections and accelerate economic growth through more productive allocation of resources." Payal Mehta is joining us on the broadcast. So Payal, the entire pitch coming in from the Modi government that it is the economic efficiency of the election process which is the reason why the government is pushing One Nation, One Poll. But we just heard Asaduddin Owaisi, who has made the point that this is a ploy to eradicate regional parties and regional issues, because if One Nation, One Elections do take place, the issues at hand will be centralized across the board, and this is a pitch to remove regional issues which are championed by regional parties, and they make those issues front and center of elections whenever there are assembly elections as well as local body elections.
Well, the opposition parties and the opposition leaders have put out their arguments as far as this entire matter is concerned, but it was just yesterday when the Home Minister in a press conference had said that one country, one election will become a reality in this term itself, which is in the 3.0 term of Narendra Modi's government. That is something which he had emphatically said. He had also spoken about the advantages of having one country, one election, saying that it's economically viable, it's going to make sure that governance takes center stage. And the Home Minister comes in from a position of a lot of strength, given the fact that he was also a member of the committee that was actually looking into this one country, one election, led by former President Ramnath Kovind. Amit Shah was a member of that committee. He in fact participated in all the consultation process that took place. Various political parties also deposed before it. So obviously he's speaking about this in a very detailed manner. And obviously this is a reform that India has been waiting for, because reforms have been welcome in every sector, and why not in the elections, so that at least more focus can be on governance, more focus can be on development, more focus can be on curbing black money usage, and more focus can be on in fact making people accountable, and better use of the security establishment, because the others get deployed in multiple elections across the entire country across right around the year.
Right, Payal, please stay with us. The war of words are escalating and the battle lines have been drawn as the Modi government has accepted the COVID panel report on One Nation, One Election. Home Minister Amit Shah making it very clear that this is for the economic viability of the entire election process, to make it transparent, clean and financially viable. But the opposition is saying that this is an attack on federalism, a pitch to remove regional parties and to crush regional issues. We'll have to wait and see how the war of words only escalates and how the political dynamics continue as the Modi government is pushing for more consultation before implementing One Nation, One Election. For now, we're going to take a quick break. More news and updates on the other side.
employment, what are going to be the big factors, the big factors that will really be of prominence. So there are those visuals there, people coming out in huge numbers. Arnima, my colleague, joins us me now from Jammu. She's been keeping a very close track. She's been talking to the BSF security forces in the run-up to the first phase of elections. Arnima, some great visuals that we're getting from Jammu region. You know, a lot of enthusiasm, and the voters also looking quite upbeat. They've been speaking to you. So over to you. Fill us in with all the details. How's the josh amongst the voters? Well, unfortunately, we have lost Arnima. We'll just get back to her, but just take a look at all these visuals coming in now from different places, and we will keep getting you more updates. Now, as far as Jammu region is concerned, what's very important to point out here is the ask from the Kashmiri Pandits. They are seeking action on long-standing issues. And they're saying that we want now the government to walk the talk. They want urgent action on their long-standing issues. Obviously, you know, employment is also another area which is of very big concern. Ishan Vani, my colleague, is also going to be getting us all the updates. He's been tracking the developments from Kashmir region. In fact, he just is getting us this report from Bij Bihara, which is Mufti's bastion. Her daughter, in fact, is also going to be contesting. It's her first political battle. Hello and welcome. You're watching Battle of the States, and I wish we were coming to you directly from the Dal Lake, the gorgeous Dal Lake in Srinagar, but we're joining you from the CNN News 18 studios. We're covering the big elections, the Jammu and Kashmir elections. It's a historic one. It's a very important one, and we're also, you know, tracking the developments, people coming out in huge numbers to cast their vote. In fact, there's a lot of enthusiasm among the voters as well. So a warm welcome to all our viewers. Voting has kick-started in this historic Jammu and Kashmir election in Phase 1 today. Remember, the state is going to poll in 3 phases, and today is the first phase. It marks the first assembly election since Article 370 was abrogated and was revoked in August 2019. This vote is a key test of the government's policies ever since that big change had taken place. Now, over 23 lakh voters will decide the fate of 219 candidates spread across 24 constituencies in 7 districts. 7 districts are going to polls today. The National Conference and the Congress, they have joined hands. They have come together for this very important elections. The National Conference, in fact, is contesting 51 seats and the Congress Party 32. There was a lot of negotiation, a lot of back and forth. Omar Abdullah also saying that it wasn't really something that was very settling to come together, but compromises have been made, with the Congress getting 32 seats to contest from. 5 seats will also see, quote unquote, a friendly contest between these two important parties between them. BJP, meanwhile, is going to be focusing on gaining ground in Kashmir, where it has really struggled in the past. And that's going to be very important because there's been a lot of change in Kashmir as well ever since the abrogation of Article 370 has happened. Most significant one is the sharp decline in the stone pelting incidents. Now, what's really going to be a worry is the banned Jamaat-e-Islami, which is also participating in these elections. So that's the big one coming in, an update that we're getting you. All right, now let's tell our viewers a little bit more about what is in store in these elections. And we're going to be playing these graphics for our viewers just to give you a good sense. Look at these beautiful shikaras. We've got our shikaras to tell our viewers, you know, about the importance of not just the shikaras, which is such an important thing for Srinagar and all those, you know, who have been going to Srinagar ever since the abrogation of Article 370. Tourism, in fact, has seen a massive increase and people have enjoyed these shikaras. So assembly polls happening after a decade, after 10 long years in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. First elections post the abrogation of Article 370, and, you know, right now, what's really important is that there is heightened terror, because we have seen an uptick and surge in terror-related activities, which has been very concerning for the security forces, especially in the Jammu region because of the tough terrain, the forested area. So the militants, you know, they have changed their tactics and they are adopting various means to try and disturb the peace in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So polls are happening amid renewed terror incidents. You have 24 of the 90 seat that is going to vote today. So all in all, there are 90 seats, and this election in Jammu and Kashmir is going to happen in 3 phases. As I had said before, the first phase happening today, 24 seats are going to poll, 16 seats in the valley, 8 in Jammu region. So 16 seats are going to polls today in the valley, which is extremely significant. And then you have 1.23 lakh.
And we continue to focus on the one nation, one election power play of the Modi government. Now, the Modi government has made it very clear that there will be a long consultative process before anything is implemented on the ground. But the reform is essential for the financial viability of the entire election process. At the same time, the opposition has opposed the entire move, saying that the Modi government is attacking federalism and is trying to crush regional issues as well as regional parties. But Ashwini Vaishnav of the Modi government has made it very clear this reform is to make the election process more transparent, fair and economically viable. Let's listen in.
Election to Lok Sabha and all legislative assemblies in 5 years होना चाहिए, जिससे कि देश में डेवलपमेंट चलता रहे. जो बहुत सारा खर्चा होता है इलेक्शंस के कारण वो न हो. बहुत सारा लॉ एंड ऑर्डर और क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम जो बाधित हो जाता है, बिकॉज पुलिसमैन आर टोटली डिप्लॉयड इन मेंटेनिंग द इलेक्शन लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, वो सब जो बड़ा एक मिशन, बहुत बड़ा एक डिसरप्शन रहता है, वो ना हो. लार्ज नंबर ऑफ पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज अक्रॉस द पॉलिटिकल स्पेक्ट्रम हैव एक्चुअली सपोर्टेड द वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन इनिशिएटिव. व्हेन दे इंटरैक्टेड विद द हाई लेवल कमिटी, they gave their inputs in a very succinct manner, with lot of clarity. एनडीए सरकार की कैबिनेट ने आज सर्वसम्मति से इस इन रिकमेंडेशंस को एक्सेप्ट किया और इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन 2 फेजेस में होगा, जैसा कि कमेटी के रिकमेंडेशंस में है. फर्स्ट फेज में लोकसभा और असेंबलीज के इलेक्शंस को साइमल्टेनियस कराने का प्रयास होगा और उसके सेकेंड फेज में लोकल बॉडी इलेक्शन से जो
And more reactions coming in on the one nation, one election push from the heavy hitters of the saffron camp. We're getting a reaction from Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, who has hailed the entire move as the Modi government has accepted the COVID panel report. Now, Yogi Adityanath has said, and I quote, "Political stability is vital for a flourishing democracy. The approval given to the one nation, one election proposal by the Union Cabinet today under the successful leadership of respected Prime Minister Narendra Modi is commendable. This decision will prove to be a milestone in ensuring political stability, sustainable development and prosperous democracy in the country." On behalf of the people of Uttar Pradesh, heartfelt gratitude to the respected Prime Minister for this revolutionary decision. So Yogi Adityanath calling this a revolutionary move by the Modi government. Payal continues to be with us on the broadcast. So Payal, the heavy hitters of the BJP camp coming out in full support of one nation, one election in a strong counter to the opposition charges.
Well, of course, various leaders from the BJP camp, whether it is Union Home Minister Amit Shah or even, Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, coming out and hailing this particular move. And obviously that is something which has been on the expected lines, given the fact that the Prime Minister himself has been speaking about, providing a stable leadership, a stable government in the country. When a government has a full 5 term to focus at least on the, development, infrastructure push and also on making life easier for the common man, then it completely makes sense instead of being into election mode all the time. Because, in a country like India, you have elections from panchayat to parliament, which although parliament elections happen once in 5 years, but panchayat elections and local body elections happen in every other state, every other month as well, which also takes away a lot of focus, from development onto polls as well. And any announcement by any government which is made is considered to be in respect of the upcoming election. So that needs to be destroyed. The fact that you have to focus on, curbing the use of black money, making it a more transparent process as far as electioneering is concerned, that should be the center stage of the focus. Obviously, not only Yogi Adityanath, but also we've seen Pushkar Singh Dhami, another Chief Minister of the BJP-ruled state of Uttarakhand, coming out and hailing this particular move. So more and more support coming in as far as the BJP is concerned, as far as the BJP, which leads the NDA government, is really concerned, hailing the Prime Minister's push as far as reforms are concerned.
Right. Thank you, Payal, for joining us on the broadcast with that piece of breaking news. So the reactions are coming in thick and fast, and the battle lines have been drawn between the BJP and the opposition camp over one nation, one election. We will continue to track all the developments coming in. For now, quick break. More news and updates on the other side.
क्या मतलब टाइम नहीं in phase 1? What is going to be very important is the youth participation. That is something that is going to gain prominence. Just how many youth or youngsters are coming out, jobs, unemployment, those are some very big issues. And also development. You have the BJP who have been stressing time and again not to vote for separatism, to vote for peace, prosperity, for security and for jobs, for livelihood in the state. So that is something that the BJP has been stressing on. You have the National Conference and the Congress Party who want to go back. They are vowing to restore full statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, they're saying that they'll bring back Article 370 as well. Those are some of the promises that are being made by all of these political parties. As I was mentioning about the BJP contesting on the 17 seats out of 24 seats, and as I had just told you, the Congress's and the National Conference's promises. So the BJP contesting on 17 of the 24 seats. That's an important one. And as I've mentioned, employment, development are going to be the big factors, the big factors that will really be of prominence. So there are those visuals there, people coming out in huge numbers. Arunima, my colleague, joins us me now from Jammu. She's been keeping a very close track. She's been talking to the BSF security forces in the run-up to the first phase of elections. Arunima, some great visuals that we're getting from Jammu region. You know, a lot of enthusiasm, and the voters also looking quite upbeat. They've been speaking to you. So over to you. Fill us in with all the details. How's the josh amongst the voters? Well, unfortunately, we have lost Arunima. We'll just get back to her, but just take a look at all these visuals coming in now from different places, and we will keep getting you more updates. Now, as far as Jammu region is concerned, what's very important to point out here is the ask from the Kashmiri Pandits. They are seeking action on long-standing issues. And they're saying that we want now the government to walk the talk. They want urgent action on their long-standing issues. Obviously, you know, employment is also another area which is of very big concern. Ishan Vani, my colleague, is also going to be getting us all the updates. He's been tracking the developments from Kashmir region. In fact, he just is getting us this report from Bij Bihara, which is Mufti's bastion. Her daughter, in fact, is also going to be contesting. It's her first political battle. Hello and welcome. You're watching Battle of the States, and I wish we were coming to you directly from the Dal Lake, the gorgeous Dal Lake in Srinagar, but we're joining you from the CNN News 18 studios. We're covering the big elections, the Jammu and Kashmir elections. It's a historic one. It's a very important one, and we're also, you know, tracking the developments, people coming out in huge numbers to cast their vote. In fact, there's a lot of enthusiasm among the voters as well. So a warm welcome to all our viewers. Voting has kick-started in this historic Jammu and Kashmir election in phase 1 today. Remember, the state is going to poll in 3 phases, and today is the first phase. It marks the first assembly election since Article 370 was abrogated and was revoked in August 2019. This vote is a key test of the government's policies ever since that big change had taken place. Now, over 23 lakh voters will decide the fate of 219 candidates spread across 24 constituencies in 7 districts. 7 districts are going to polls today. The National Conference and the Congress, they have joined hands. They have come together for this very important elections. The National Conference, in fact, is contesting 51 seats and the Congress Party 32. There was a lot of negotiation, a lot of back and forth. Omar Abdullah also saying that it wasn't really something that was very settling to come together, but compromises have been made, with the Congress getting 32 seats to contest from. 5 seats will also see, quote unquote, a friendly contest between these two important parties between them. BJP, meanwhile, is going to be focusing on gaining ground in Kashmir, where it has really struggled in the past. And that's going to be very important because there's been a lot of change in Kashmir as well ever since the abrogation of Article 370 has happened. Most significant one is the sharp decline in the stone pelting incidents. Now, what's really going to be a worry is the banned Jamaat-e-Islami, which is also participating in these elections. So that's the big one coming in, an update that we're getting you. All right. Now let's tell our viewers a little bit more about what is in store in these elections, and we're going to be playing these graphics for our viewers just to give you a good sense. Look at these beautiful shikaras. We've got our shikaras to tell our viewers, about the importance of not just the shikaras, which is such an important thing for Srinagar and all those, who have been going to Srinagar ever since the abrogation of Article 370. Tourism, in fact, has seen a massive increase and people have enjoyed these shikaras. So assembly polls happening after a decade, after 10 long years in the
Welcome back, and shifting focus to Jammu and Kashmir, ladies and gentlemen, where for the first time since the abrogation of Article 370, assembly elections are currently underway. Now, 24 seats across 7 districts saw polling today when the entire face-off between the Kashmir parties as well as the BJP, which dominates the Jammu region, all the parties in the fray over claiming the state assembly in Jammu and Kashmir. The first election since the abrogation of Article 370, one of the big commitments of the Modi government to establish grassroots democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. And a big piece of breaking news that's coming in when it comes to voter turnout till 5 p.m. And now what we are learning is that the voter turnout is over 58% till 5 p.m. This is the phase 1 of the J&K assembly elections. 24 seats across 7 districts, and the turnout till 5 p.m. is over 58%. I'm joined by my colleague Ishan Wani on the broadcast, who's reporting from Srinagar. Ishan, if we look at the 7 districts, everyone above the 50% mark, and Kishtwar leading the roost with 77.23% turnout at 5 p.m.
Well, absolutely right. This was anticipated, given the fact that the sort of voting that we saw in Lok Sabha, and that's what prompted Election Commissioner, the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, even the members of the opposition tweeting out saying that the democracy has been upheld in Jammu and Kashmir post the abrogation of Article 370. And it was anticipated that people come out to vote in large numbers, because there has been this 10-year gap of the last assembly polls which were held, because people vote in large number in assembly elections because they have to choose their local representative who will take the issues forward. We have been speaking to people at length in these places like Kuldam, Sopia, Pulwama, and even last villages of Kashmir Valley. All of them are saying that they need better benefits because they're farmers. Some of them need jobs, youngsters, they need hospitals, they need facilities like education facilities. And these have been the key demands of people who are going out to vote. They want betterment for their future. They want something which will concretely help them in uplifting their own personal, area, the area which they come from. And also the security here has been really nice because we have not seen any boycott, hartal, shutdown, attack. And previously, what we will witness is that there will be attacks on polling staff, there will be attacks on the polling stations, and which will hamper the polling. And people out of fear wouldn't participate in the election at large. But this time around, there is peace, and that's why you're seeing these numbers only growing.
Right. Thank you, Ishan, for getting us the latest from Jammu and Kashmir. First phase of the elections, over 58% voter turnout in the 7 districts where 24 seats have gone to the polls. We're shifting focus to our top international story. Now, over 8 people have been killed and over 2,000 have been injured after pagers exploded across Lebanon, targeting the Hezbollah top brass. Now, what we are learning is that defense experts suggest that the Israeli forces have been able to hack into the pagers of several Hezbollah leaders, targeting the entire communication infrastructure of Hezbollah. Now, Hezbollah has vowed retaliatory strikes against Israel as tensions continue to escalate amid the Gaza war between Israel and Hamas. Now, Jitin Jain, a top cybersecurity expert, gets us his take on this new theater of warfare, on this new strategy of warfare that is being employed by the Israel Defense Forces in tackling the terror infrastructure in the Middle East.
Experts say this is a supply chain attack. Would you agree?
Of course, it is a very classic and a very fine example of supply chain attack, and it is also basically a cocktail of human intelligence and technical innovation. If you carefully see, Israel is probably the only country in the world which has been using unconventional warfare, using technology to, in a way, avoid wars. They use, malwares and viruses to take on Iran's nuclear program way back almost a decade ago in 2013-14. You saw the same. Israel was able to use automated weapons guided by, people sitting thousands of miles away to take, assassinate Iranian generals and scientists. This is The same country today now, which has even shocked the world by bringing in this kind of innovation, where they are able to infect the entire supply chain of Hezbollah and launch bomb attack using pagers. Now there are three important questions here. In this age, nobody uses pagers. Everybody uses cell phone. So I think the first important point why Hezbollah may have been trying to use pagers was maybe to try technical surveillance of the locations and the call data or SMS of mobile phones. Now, in order to evade that surveillance, they shifted to pager. Now, once you want to shift to pager, the supply lines are very limited. There are very few manufacturers of pager and beepers today in the world. So they may have logged on to some company which is allegedly in Taiwan, which now claims that their partner or original manufacturer was in Hungary. So Israel was able, using its human intelligence, was able to map out the entire supply chain, the supplier, the manufacturer, the demand of pager, the supply route, the company operating this, and I think they were able to intercept this entire shipment. They were able to access the pagers in that shipment, and I'm sure it would have taken almost 2-3 days for them to open those pagers, and then years of research how to fix a 20 milligram explosive in a pager, and then detonate it or activate it by sending a command using an SMS or a beep. Now this research would have taken many years. This human intelligence of pagers would have taken many years. Even installing the 20-gram explosive would have taken at least 24 to 48 hours. So Israel had that much of time. So they were able to, intercept the supplies. They were able to infect the supply chain, and they were able to successfully carry out an attack.
But Mr. Jain, do you suspect that they did it in connivance with this, so-called Taiwanese company, or do you think this was them hacking into their systems? What really do you think went underway?
No, it is not a classical case of hacking that you have hacked into a motherboard and you have made the pager explode. No.
Okay.
They intercepted a shipment. They were able to access those pagers. They opened those pagers and put a 20-gram explosive in disguise of an electronic, circuit or a transistor or something. So, in disguise of electrical component, they were able to plant a very, miniature military-grade 20-gram explosive. Radius of, let's say, 10 meters or 4 or 5 people. Now they infected the entire shipment of those pagers, which was to be used by Hezbollah couriers, with those 20 milligram explosives in every pager. Now it is said that originally they wanted to use this bomb blast as an opening of a large-scale offensive against Hezbollah, but it is told from sources and in the open source reports that I think Israel thought that Hezbollah might have got aware of the plan. So it was basically lose everything or gain something moment. So they decided to prepone the use, and they decided to just use it before the Hezbollah just goes away with the pager, and they carried on with the bomb blast.
First elections post the abrogation of Article 370, and right now, what's really important is that there is heightened terror, because we have seen an uptick and surge in terror-related activities, which has been very concerning for the security forces, especially in the Jammu region, because of the tough terrain, the forested area. So the militants, they have changed their tactics, and they are adopting various means to try and disturb the peace in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So polls are happening amid renewed terror incidents. You have 24 of the 90 seat that is going to vote today. So all in all, there are 90 seats, and this election in Jammu and Kashmir is going to happen in 3 phases. As I had said before, the first phase happening today, 24 seats are going to poll, 16 seats in the valley, 8 in Jammu region. So 16 seats are going to polls today in the valley, which is extremely significant. And then you have 1.23 lakh first time voters in phase 1. What is going to be very important is the youth participation. That is something that is going to gain prominence. Just how many youth or youngsters are coming out, jobs, unemployment, those are some very big issues. And also development. You have the BJP who have been stressing time and again not to vote for separatism, to vote for peace, prosperity, for security and for jobs, for livelihood in the state. So that is something that the BJP has been stressing on. You have the National Conference and the Congress Party who want to go back. They are vowing to restore full statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, they're saying that they'll bring back Article 370 as well. Those are some of the promises that are being made by all of these political parties. As I was mentioning about the BJP contesting on the 17 seats out of 24 seats, and as I had just told you, the Congress's and the National Conference's promises. So the BJP contesting on 17 of the 24 seats. That's an important one. And as I've mentioned, employment, development are going to be the big factors, the big factors that will really be of prominence. So there are those visuals there, people coming out in huge numbers. Arunima, my colleague, joins us me now from Jammu. She's been keeping a very close track. She's been talking to the BSF security forces in the run-up to the first phase of elections. Arunima, some great visuals that we're getting from Jammu region. You know, a lot of enthusiasm, and the voters also looking quite upbeat. They've been speaking to you. So over to you. Fill us in with all the details. How's the josh amongst the voters? Well, unfortunately, we have lost Arunima. We'll just get back to her, but just take a look at all these visuals coming in now from different places, and we will keep getting you more updates. Now, as far as Jammu region is concerned, what's very important to point out here is the ask from the Kashmiri Pandits. They are seeking action on long-standing issues. And they're saying that we want now the government to walk the talk. They want urgent action on their long-standing issues. Obviously, you know, employment is also another area which is of very big concern. Ishan Vani, my colleague, is also going to be getting us all the updates. He's been tracking the developments from Kashmir region. In fact, he just is getting us this report from Bij Bihara, which is Mufti's bastion. Her daughter, in fact, is also going to be contesting. It's her first political battle. Hello and welcome. You're watching Battle of the States, and I wish we were coming to you directly from the Dal Lake, the gorgeous Dal Lake in Srinagar, but we're joining you from the CNN News 18 studios. We're covering the big elections, the Jammu and Kashmir elections. It's a historic one. It's a very important one, and we're also, you know, tracking the developments, people coming out in huge numbers to cast their vote. In fact, there's a lot of enthusiasm among the voters as well. So a warm welcome to all our viewers. Voting has kick-started in this historic Jammu and Kashmir election in Phase 1 today. Remember, the state is going to poll in 3 phases, and today is the first phase. It marks the first assembly election since Article 370 was abrogated and was
warm welcome. You're watching Plain Speak. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's cabinet has cleared a proposal for what is widely known as One Nation, One Poll. This is a milestone move aimed at the simultaneous conduct of the Lok Sabha and state assemblies that the government says will cut down on expenses and reduce logistical hurdles in the polling process in the world's largest democracy. And amid buzz that the bill could be introduced in Parliament's winter session, the government sources have told CNN News 18 that the centre is keen to build a consensus before moving the bill in the House. The development came after a high-level panel headed by former President Ram Nath Kovind submitted its report to the Union Cabinet. The committee has asked for the constitution of an implementation committee to look into the execution of the recommendations. It should be noted